I'm going to give you on this pre-draft episode 3 things which I think is going to really affect the draft. And I'm going to also answer a question that I've been getting a lot of people asking me. Why is Shedeur Sanders in like limbo? And I know what it is. And you may not agree, but you're going to find out in this episode. All right? All right, we're back. Listen, today, let's look at the draft. This draft has been one of the most lackluster drafts, only for one reason. There are no super duper quarterback candidates. I remember some drafts, and it's been years ago, when Phillips, Roethlisberger, and Manning all were in the draft, and because of those 3 polarizing figures being available and the switches and the trades and all that stuff, it made it a really enjoyable draft watch. But today, our top 3 candidates being Cam, being Shedeur, and Dart. It's not a lot of hoopla, and they're trying to build up the draft as this must-watch thing, but it really isn't. But I got a problem, and I want to address this right away. There's a lot of blue chippers in here. First 15 to 20 guys in this draft, I know they can get on the team and take some team to the next level. We have, Malachi Starks at safety. You got the guy Abdul. You have Ashton Gentry, Cam at quarterback. There's a lot of great athletes out there. But I'm going to be honest. Every draft, they draft all these players. Somebody's got to be a bust. And the one position that you see more busts, in my opinion, is QB. Okay? So, I don't know what that's about, but, QB is a hard position. And I don't think there is a generational talent at QB in this draft. We have some very good quarterbacks in the draft, and I don't want to take a swipe at them. I don't want you to think that I'm taking shots, but there are no generational talent, no game people that you plug and play and that makes the team go directly to a Super Bowl. There's no Lamar Jackson. There is no Mahomes. There is no Josh Allen in this. Now, what I'm not going to say is, could Shedeur Sanders land on the right team and take them as a playoff contender, serious quarterback contender, under the right leadership, right management, who's willing to build around him? Yes, I think it can happen. We saw how Mahomes changed Kansas City. So I say the same thing can happen with Shedeur. But I want to answer this question real quick. People have asked me, why has Shedeur Sanders slid down? Well, it's a couple of reasons. Number one, who his father is. Sometimes you can be judged based on popularity of somebody connected to you. And I think that's a blessing and a curse. Shedeur Sanders, though, has the work, okay? He has the work ethic. We've seen what he's done. We've seen him go to Jackson State. We've seen him go to Colorado. And he taken those teams. Colorado only had one win the year before he got there. And based on not just Shedeur, okay? It's not just on Shedeur, but based on the talent around him and his QB IQ and his will, okay, he's made them winning programs. I think so. Look at his stats, okay? Let's look at his stats. I'm going to say this, and I know I'm going to get some kickback, so I know in the mailbag I'm going to get somebody cussing me out, but I'm going to say this. Because of past experience, because what we saw when we went through with Lamar, people saying run the 40 to switch the position, Because he's a black quarterback, a man of color with those stats, if you take those stats and put them on somebody else, a white guy, he would be a top 10, top 5 QB drawer this year. I'm just being honest. We've seen it. The Ryan Leafs. We've seen it. Okay? We've seen the Johnny Manziels. We've seen all these quarterbacks that are white guys. And if they had the stats that Shedeur had, they would be nominating him within the top 3 to 5 picks. But he isn't. He's Shedeur Sanders, a Hall of Fame, a son of a Hall of Famer. And I'm not looking at his father is. I'm looking at who he is. He's put an outstanding amount of work out there on the field. You can look at the film. He doesn't have the super arm strength or size, but he's a game manager and he can make plays. He consistently make plays. Who does that remind you of? Drum roll. Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes. Am I saying Shedeur is Patrick Mahomes? No. But with experience and from what I've seen in the past, he can infect and affect the game by his gameplay. He makes good decisions. Now, he got better behind the line, but if you build a line in front of him and get him some decent receivers and a running game, he could give you playoff contingency. And for them to say one of the best stats, he's first in the FS, touchdowns and yards and all this stuff like that, but yet they're talking about he's going to slip to 21 to Pittsburgh. Now, y'all know this is the Ravens Football Junkies, not the Pittsburgh. I would hate for anybody. I wish they could draft Ryan Leaf. I don't want Shedeur Sanders on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to tell you that now. I don't want to see him on the Pittsburgh. I like the kid. I'm a Ravens fan. I am a Ravens fan. You know what would happen if this boy would be on the Pittsburgh Steelers? Then I had to root against him. I won't like him. And I love Prime, but come on, Shedeur. Giants, do me a favor. Pick this boy. You took Danny Dimes, a.k.a. Fumblefoot, running down the field top speed and tripped over his own feet. Nobody in front of him. He could score a touchdown. Tripped over his own feet, running about 29 miles per hour. Fumble feet. If you chose Danny Dimes over, that's Daniel Jones to those who don't know, over a running back, a generational running back. You let him go to your rival. Saquon. You let him go to take Danny down, and then less than a few months later, you let Danny go, and you have no QB. Come on, y'all. Shedeur Sanders in New York looks about right. I could see Malik Neighbors and him forming a bond. New York, look at me. Look me in my eyes. I could see you taking Shedeur, right? Taking Shedeur, building. They got some good, solid receivers out there. Building some receivers around him through the next year or two. Getting him a phenomenal tight end. You got a couple in this draft that can go second and third round. You could take them and build an offensive team. You're cool. You're okay on the defense. A few players here and there. You may want to grab a cornerback, another safety, some linemen. But you have the infrastructure of being great. You have the infrastructure of being great. But Shedeur is sliding down the drafts because I believe he's a black guy and he's Prime's son. I said it. And I know my mailbag is going to get full of people saying that's being racist. No, it's not being racist. It's based on observations and years of seeing it happen. That's what it is. You can't tell me if Jackson Dart had the stats of Shedeur, he wouldn't be the number 2 overall. And watch this. Dart may be drafted before Shedeur for some team that's stretching. We've seen it happen. Year after year, people have stretched. Ask Atlanta. They've stretched. Ask Indianapolis and grabbed a QB based on their raw ability, and it bites them in the butt sometimes. Not saying in Atlanta it may not, but more so in Indianapolis. They've taken a stretch on somebody who had 1 year and it was pretty good 1 year. Okay. What I'm saying right now, y'all, I believe in my heart that somebody, it could be the Vikings, but the Vikings need a safety, so they'll probably try to grab Malachi Starks or someone like that. But somebody's going to come in and draft a QB. The first pick, I believe Cam is going to the Titans. They've been making comparisons of him with Steve McNair. Okay, so I figured that he's locked in. Although they haven't said it, I believe he's locked in. Abdul Carter is going to go probably, I don't know, within the first 5. He's a pass rusher, and I believe he has a lot of upside. He's been dominant in college. Ashton Gentry, I do agree with not Mel Kiper, a couple of the people that he's going to go to the Raiders. They miss Josh. When Josh was at running back, boy, they was a monster team, and having a solid running game around a QB like Geno will be phenomenal. A strong, and you know Pete Carroll's going to build. Okay, Pete Carroll's going to build, and he's going to get. But Ashton Gentry, he's a smaller running back, solid, breaks tackles, makes you miss. So I think Saquon and Derrick Henry rewrote the book as for what can a running back do for a contender team or making a team a contender. Saquon added to the Philadelphia Eagles was their topper. He was the one that took them over top. That was a dominating team on defense. And offense had playmakers from Brown to Smith, and then they had Saquon and then Justin Fields. Excuse me, not Justin Fields. Charge it to my heart. Jalen. Justin hurt. Their quarterback was allowed to grow, progress. You saw maturity, and he managed the game, and he scored. He had the right offense around him with a strong line that allowed him to produce and make him a quarterback for the future. And now he got all the naysayers backpedaling because they said, oh my goodness, we finally seen him. Shedeur Sanders, I believe if a team like the Giants would build around that guy, put a piece here, go out and get a veteran receiver. I'm going to tell you, and some of y'all might hate me, the Giants get Shedeur. Then I will go out and get Amari Cooper. I know he's older, but he's not a number 2. He more like a 2B. I wouldn't even say 2B. I would make him a B. He would be a number 2 receiver. You got Neighbors. You got Amari Cooper. And a Cooper, because he's an elder, could help mentor Neighbors. And because, Cooper's been steady. So you got Cooper, you got Neighbors, you got Shedeur. You got a decent running game, but I would say in the second round, if one of those top 5 running backs is available, grab a running back. You'll never replace Saquon, but you need to get complementary pieces that you can have a Thunder and Lightning. Okay? You can have a Thunder and Lightning. Excuse me, y'all. You can have a Thunder and Lightning in the backfield. I believe that's something that you should look forward to doing. Get a tight end. I know you got a pretty good tight end right now, but I would lock and load for the tight end of the future. You have a couple that'll be there in the third, fourth, maybe even the fifth round. Wouldn't go past fourth round. Now I know y'all saying we're talking Ravens football. Why are you talking about everybody else? I'm getting there. The reason I'm talking like this is if teams do what I think they're going to do, and you have a couple of crazy trades, players that we need, a pass rusher, a dominant ball hawking, high IQ, free safety, a defensive tackle. People have been talking about that. At 27, we may have some defensive tackles fall our way. And I haven't gotten into all the names, but, we know we need a safety. And so we can make Kyle Hamilton go back to where he needs to be. You have a ball hawk like a Malachi Stark or the kid. I can't pronounce his name right there, y'all. I think it's coming out of South Carolina. You have one of those guys back there. But I've also saw Watts. And they're saying if the Ravens don't pick a free safety in the first round by opting to get either a defensive tackle or edge rusher, that they can get Watts. I think his name is Xavier Watts in the second round. And he's pretty decent. What I don't want the Ravens to do is to do what they've been doing the last 5 years, and it's been ticking off for Baltimore. I'm tired of all the projects. Ojabo, Adisa Isaac. Owe has been, the people are saying Owe had his first year of double-digit sacks. And it should have been sooner. I love Owe. But to be honest if you look at his technique and his mechanics, he's a little slow off that first step. And that causes more situations. He's always in the backfield, but he's not making the big play every play. And he has the potential of doing that, but he hasn't yet. And what I'm saying is that if he could work on his technique and get off faster and get to the quarterback, more forces, more hits, more sacks, you would pay him. And honestly speaking, I've been hearing rumors, and also the pros out there have said about it that he's a little disgruntled. It may be a little bit disgruntled because he's not getting the bag. The Ravens are picking up his fifth option. I think that's smart. Let him ball. If he balls out, I don't think he'll be here next year. He'll be a comp pick if we lose him. But if he balls out, the priorities for the Ravens is Hamilton. And then secondly, you got to get Linderbaum. You got to show up your center. And then you got coming up, you got Flowers coming up. You got a couple of other pieces coming up. So I say right now, we're not going to use all 11 picks. Let's get in your mind. I would package a few of those picks, especially the comp picks. And I'm going to be honest. If at 19, 20, 21, if an impact player, like a pass rusher, a strong edge rusher, not safety, I wouldn't trade her for a safety, but the edge rusher or a defensive tackle falls because a team jumps in and they start a run on quarterbacks out of desperation, I would trade up and get that player by packaging maybe a 4 with the one you have, and then next year another 4, and move up a couple of spaces just to land that player. If you remember the Buffalo Bills game, we fell behind because it was pitiful. We had a bit of pressure, but not enough on Josh Allen. We only had 1 sack and a handful of force of rush or quarterback hits. You're never going to win a playoff game consistently with that performance. You're not. We need to be able to get as close to as possible what Philly did to Mahomes. And they rushed 4 men. Okay? 4 men. And if we can get a 4-man rush, we could do all kinds of things on the defense. 4 men, if they can't stop 4, and you send a Kyle Hamilton, Roquan Smith, a Trenton Simpson, that's game changing right there. We could make a lot happen if we can get the pass rush. We have not gotten the pass rush straight since we lost Suggs and Zadarius Smith. We let Matthew Judon go. And as I said in a prior show, Judon is still available. Get Judon. I don't want Smith here. I think Smith is a ruse. I think his best years are gone. He didn't want to be here when we tried to sign him before. Get Judon. This should be the place that he retire. Give him a cap-friendly 2-year contract that will allow him to, and you can use him to resurrect his career like you did Kyle Van Noy, excuse me. Resurrect Clowney. Okay? He could come here. He could teach the pass rusher that you draft this year alongside of him, giving us plenty of depth. And Robinson, he's been doing pretty good. You can see it because personally, if you're not going to sign Owe, trade him during this draft, day 2. Day 2 draft, trade him. But if you see that monster pass rusher in the first round, trade your pick and him and maybe a next year third. No, I wouldn't say third. If you can get away with a 4th, but a third, okay, a third. To move up to get that monster, you will have Judon, you will have Robinson, you will have Van Noy, and you would have that. That will be a good, impactful play because you're going to lose away next year. I just believe he's going to have a good season this year. But just like we want to treat Andrews, saying, oh, go on and get rid of Andrews, get rid of Andrews, get rid of Andrews. Andrews will only move. He will only move if and only if the right package come our way. Somebody say, okay, we'll give you our first for your first and Andrews, and we'll give you our first this year and a third this year. Make that move. Make that move. Because then you can already go on, and I would lock up. Honestly, based on their play, I would lock up Charlie Kohler, and I would lock up Likely. Kohler and Likely is not going to cost you a lot because based on their performance, they ain't going to get top tier tight end. There's a lot of potential for Likely, but he won't garner the money that you'll have to pay Andrews to keep him here. So Andrews, their first pick, and third, or their first pick and Andrews for our first pick, swapping first pick, and a third this year. I take it. Or package those 4th round picks. I take it. I take it. But the sneaky position, okay? Let's go to this. I know we need edge rush. I know we need safety, but we need a cornerback as well. And I don't know if we're going to get Amos. Harrison. I like Harrison. But the knocks on him is his height. He's 5'11", but he plays bigger. And, in our division, we know that Cincinnati threw all their money on one position, the wide receivers, where you're going to see Chase and Higgins twice this year. I would feel comfortable with them getting, within the first 2 rounds, a cornerback that can be on the island, that can lock down and play with the Jamar Chase, with the T. Higgins, with the Metcalf and the Pickens. Okay? That's what we're going to need because these combos will be killer, and we've seen it every year. Jamar Chase owns us. Jamar Chase does stuff to us that I've never seen happen to a team. We have to move up past the 20s as far as a defense overall. I know we scored high, but we give the most yards in the past. We were terrible. We were giving up some too many yards. So we're going to have to look at that cornerback, and don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if the Ravens pick and then trade back in the first round because they call Philly, because we got that Philly connect. Baltimore, Philly, he'll call them up and say, hey, just like we did with Lamar, we'll trade back in, give up maybe a second round next year, trade back in that first round, and grab a cornerback or grab that safety who fell. But we really need that corner. I would love to see Malachi Starks. I've seen his foot. I was watching his film. My son and me, we were sitting there watching the highlights. I like Malachi Starks, but I don't believe he's going to be there at 27. I don't. I think the Ravens would probably lose him. We'll grab the kid from out of South Carolina, or wait to the second round and grab Watts. But that first round, we got to make, people say, I've heard people say, listen. So many thoughts come to mind. I've heard so many people say, oh, we don't have to get a Hall of Fame player in this draft. No. Every first round pick, and if I'm wrong, y'all, let me know. Every first round pick that you spend money on or draft capital on, you want that person to be plug and play and to be a Pro Bowler. If I'm lying, say so in the comments. Put Y for yes or N for no. If you're picking in the first round, I know we're at 27, but we need our first round pick to be plug and play, ready to go day one. We're tired here in Baltimore. Ravens, look at me. Ravens brass. We in Baltimore are tired of projects. We're tired of you selling us the banana in the tailpipe. Oh, Jabo, he's great. And I'm not knocking these players, but we know you stretched for them and you wanted more from them. And Ojabo may be decent his third or fourth year, but we need somebody now. We need somebody now who can get after that quarterback. Because part of our secondary woes came because we're not getting to the quarterback without sending all kinds of blitzes. We also need a defensive tackle as well. We lost Pierce, and that's a big loss. You people don't realize that that's a big loss. People say, well, we paid Bradby. Bradby, the film is out on him. He was double teamed. We need a defensive tackle who's nasty and can create pressure up the middle. Creating pressure up the middle. Look at the Super Bowl again. Pressure up the middle forces the center and the guards into the lap of Patrick Mahomes. You need that pressure up the middle where you can get away with an Owake and a Van Noy, because now the quarterback will be forced to rush right into that direction. But you need that middle pressure to create more sacks. That way your four-man fronts are getting into the backfield and he's going to run into some problems. So we need a defensive tackle. We're not talking about it enough. And I believe at the Liars Luncheon with DeCosta, who's phenomenal, hands down. Thank y'all. And people don't know, his family had been a true blessing to us. When my son was diagnosed with cancer, the DeCostas, his wife Lacey, the Ravens organization, they've been treating my son phenomenal. They've given him all kinds of things, and I thank the Lord for the Ravens for that. But I'm going to say this though. DeCosta said that their strength was the pass rush and these guys coming back. I believe that's what he's going to do. And don't be surprised to probably see him, if the right player starts falling, trade up. Right? Trade up. And then maybe trade back a little to grab the right player. We've seen these games happen before with Ozzy. I believe 80% of me believe we're going to stay at 27. Nope, 70%. 30% said we're going to make a move. Because I believe this year we should be all in. We should be all in. We need a middle linebacker too, even if Trenton Simpson could be the beast. And I think a lot of his problems came because of coaching. Last year's coaching staff let down Baltimore a lot of times. And you saw the shift come when Dean Pease come back. But I believe right now, with the new coaching staff in place, that we can take him to the next level. I don't know what happened to him. He was a starter, then he fell out of favor. But I believe that your linebackers coach is key to develop that position. But as I said before, I would sign on a team-friendly deal C.J. Mosley, third, fourth round, draft another linebacker, but or the second round, get a linebacker. But we have a lot of needs, y'all, and people play it off like we don't. We need a corner. I think corner's going to be key. We're not talking about it enough, but we need a corner. We need another lockdown to go with Wiggins to allow Humphrey to stay in the slot. And we need another corner for depth. Because behind, if Humphreys go down, who's going to fill in for him? That you have faith in. And I don't want Kyle Hamilton having to take over roles and stuff like that he's not used to, and nullifying his effect on the field. We need to get two more corners in this draft. Maybe another free agent. We need to get a linebacker. I would say C.J. Mosley and a rookie, and maybe someone off the street for special teams, because we lost a lot of people for special teams. Malik Harrison running to the Steelers, along with his Patrick Queenie. Everybody talk like they good when they go to the Steelers, but Steelers got a problem, y'all. In the last 7 years, who's their quarterback been? They've been all over the place with quarterback. But I'm gonna tell everybody, the minute they get a solid quarterback is going to be the time that the Steelers actually close the gap with the Ravens and Cincinnati. I definitely think if they get a good quarterback in the draft, that they will close the gap, because Cincinnati needs defense like yesterday. Their defense is horrible, and their best defensive player, they didn't give that man a contract. I don't understand why, but keep being the Bengals. Thank y'all so much. Steelers, don't draft a quarterback. Take a flyer on Dart or one of the other top 7. You got Mason Rudolph. He's a game changer. That's right. But I think it's going to be a sneaky draft. And I don't want him to get Shedeur. I want him to get somebody who goes out there and becomes the next Johnny Manziel. The perfect world. I want the Ravens to take this draft seriously. I don't see us using all 11 drafts picks. Nope. It doesn't make sense, because all 11 are not going to make the team. And out of this draft, you need a solid 5. We need a solid 5 with first and second rounders, plug and play. I know everybody's saying we also need offensive line depth. Right now, our bookends, Stanley and what's his name, Rosengarten. They're your tackles. We need some depth behind them, but you don't draft a person in the first round to sit on the bench. You can draft somebody in the second, third, or the third, that can go in and be pretty decent. So you need to make up that depth that Makari opened up. You need a guard to challenge Falele. He's in his final season of his contract. So I would have somebody challenge the left and the right guard. If you can find a player that falls like we did with Voorhees, pull the trigger. Grab them. I think this draft, because we got so many picks, we could bounce around the board if we play our cards right. Excuse me. But I definitely believe that we need impact players with the first 3 picks. Safety, pass rush, defensive tackle. That's what I would do with this draft. Safety, pass rusher first. Safety, defensive tackle is tied with safety. And then you got to get a corner. You got to get that corner in the first 2 rounds. Somebody who can go out there and challenge a Woozier right away, to complement Nate Wiggins. Other than that, do me a favor, y'all. If you haven't already done it, click the subscribe button, hit the like, please share this, and hit the bell icon. The bell icon allows you to know, for those who don't know, because I don't take it for granted, it will allow you to not miss when we go live, when some news drops, and throughout the course of the next few days of the draft. I may go live on the first round, but I want to really focus on a draft day review for all 4 days of the draft. I think that's going to benefit us a lot more, where I can actually get in depth with the draft pick and give you the X's and O's of that player, what to expect from that player, and to even tell you who they're challenging on the depth chart for a position. But if something major happens tonight, best believe I will jump on. We will talk about it. I need your questions. Please send all your questions to questions4rfj@gmail.com. To make sure you got it, I put it down here. But up here, you'll see it on our overlay. But send me your questions, send me your comments, your concerns. I also want to bring some people on who are fans just like I am, who want to talk Ravens football, NFL football, because this week is going to be a doozy. We're going to get some oohs and ahs. Some teams that you never thought will. Don't forget also, and I want to say this before I go, the Vikings is looking for safety. And I see the Vikings also being sneaky. I can see them getting a defensive lineman, a safety, and a receiver early. And you probably say, oh, they got receivers. I see them doing that. And you may see them grab one of the top 3 running backs. So this is going to be a crazy draft. And the Ravens, I'm going to let y'all know, and I'm saying this, it's not because I hate the player, but Ali, our fourth on the depth chart, I don't see him on the team after this year. I think the Ravens are going to find a running back towards the 4th, 5th round that they're going to grab, who's going to be solid. I want Keaton Mitchell to have a phenomenal year as that 3. You know what's coming with Justice Hill. He bringing the thunder, and the king is there. But I think if we can grab a game-changing running back this year, because of the age of Henry, it's time to bring him now so he can sit back and learn from the king himself. So when he does get out there, he can do his thing. Don't forget, y'all, send me your questions. Send your comments, concerns. Do me a favor. Subscribe, like, and share. And I'll see you guys in a few hours for the draft. All right? Peace and blessings.